Hello, I'm David White, CEO at Border States. We're headquartered in Fargo, North Dakota. As a 100% employee-owned company, we have roughly 100 locations in 22 states, serving the construction, industrial, and utility market segments. I'm joined today by Josh Bone. He's the NECA Executive Director of Industry Innovation, and he's also the Interim Executive Director at Electri International. For more than a couple of decades, Josh has been implementing, training, and presenting construction technology solutions to architects, engineers, construction professionals, and owners. He specializes in identifying best practices and methodologies for integrating construction technology into everyday workflows. At NECA, he's helping drive technology adoption within their member companies currently. So Josh was kind enough to join Border States a couple of weeks ago at a marketing summit, and we wanted to continue that conversation and share it with a broader audience. So welcome, Josh. It's great to be with you today.
David, it's so good to be with you as well. I'm excited to have this opportunity to speak with you and hash out some ideas.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll start with a question.
Okay.
How do you see the supply chain role expanding and changing as technology drives changes in the construction process?
We've seen now for many, many years the move away from hard bid work and more projects being opened up to design bid, CM at risk, IPD. And what I'm starting to see is that stacking of many things happening much earlier in the project cycle. So still even in the early design stages, I think we're going to see an opportunity for our distribution partners and supply chain in general to get involved much earlier in the process. We're going to see a shift in construction documents and how they're being created. And you're going to see more of a mindset around constructability. And to do that together, we're going to see the supply chain get involved much earlier in the process. And a lot of the silos that have been created over the years to protect everyone, those are going to be broken down. And we're going to see a much more integrated workflow with supply chain, the contractors, the owners, and a more of a flat line approach to how we all, a better flow than we've always had in the past.
Yeah, that sounds right. Where I see it from our end in terms of how it changes, project requirements are shifting to your point, a more service-oriented, more collaborative model. And you mentioned it, early and open communication between contractors and the distributors is going to be critical to that process. 3 bids and a buy. We've been using that for years, but that's changing. It's just not quite fast enough, in my opinion. If we can approach projects as a team and really drive trust and true partnership, I think that increases our chances of delivering a much better product with higher quality, lower cost, and increased profitability for all the stakeholders. I'll give you a quick recent example with a data center. The owner needed a recycling solution, and as part of our proposal, we were planning an on-site material management operation anyway. We happen to be pretty good at providing recycling services. So good upfront collaboration led us to providing a recycling services for wood, cardboard, plastic, steel, really everything, and not just for electrical stuff, but for the entire job. So in the end, it allowed the owner as an outcome to fulfill his sustainability commitments, and the electrical contractor, everyone was happy. It went super well. So today we're assembling a group of NECA contractors and some Border States subject matter experts. Our thought is we brainstorm, we discuss how a combined team approach could better create process and produce better results, for everyone, again, particularly the owner.
And David, I'm so glad to hear you say that. That's a great example of how a partner works and adds value and can get engaged. I absolutely see more of those opportunities coming into play. Right now, everyone is getting so focused and wanting to do what they do better. So there's going to be a need to help fill in some of these gaps as you start to focus, as the electrical contractors, the diversification of work is happening. So let's focus on what we do well. Let's partner with you. And the early onset of really performance specs coming from the engineers is going to make that easier. We're going to see more of a dive right into shop drawings. So we're going to be producing shop drawings from day one, not this redundancy. And as we get the right information from our partners, it's really going to streamline that process and find ways that we can be more sustainable, we can be more efficient, more productive, and safe as well.
So Josh, you mentioned the sharing of information. Data is a much discussed topic in all businesses today. So how can we leverage data analytics to work more closely with our industry partners? Transparency with data is something everybody's struggling with.
So, David, was watching the Braves play last night, and I watched the New York Yankees do a shift. And I watched my favorite hitter, Freddie Freeman, hit right into the shift. And I was so frustrated by that it's like, man, that just seems unfair. They're playing analytics in baseball. And I think what you're going to see right now is the fact that once you start putting the shift on some of these contractors, on some of these other people in the process, that it becomes an unfair advantage to take advantage, to use the analytics in your favor. They're going to say, we have to get there. Remember when the shift first started happening, people were afraid of it. Oh, that seems risky. But now we're at a point now where if you're not playing the analytics in baseball, that's going to happen to our industry. Data is the future. How do we reduce risk? How do we improve margins? How do we become less commoditized? Those are all things that data can do for us. We can raise the tide through analytics and look at where we're leaving money on the table. Where can we reduce risk? How can we make better informed decisions? And what we have to do, and this is going to be the really hard part for our industry, is learn how to be more transparent with that information to the owners. The owners they're talking about this trust tax, and how does a NECA contractor and border states come together to build trust with that owner and build a relationship that creates a level of stickiness that goes not only through design and construction, but throughout the life cycle of the project? And how can we be perceived as consultants to add value? Well, we've got to help the owners reduce waste. We've got to help the owners not look at how we can take it and manipulate it into our favor. We've got to be more transparent and open with this data.
So I like your reference to baseball, Josh. Somebody should go out and hire Billy Bean in the construction industry. For us as a distributor, the ability for us to surface clean data in an easily consumable fashion, we see as really creating value for contractors and manufacturers both. And I think we sit in a unique position in the supply chain where we can aggregate multiple data sets from many sources that we can in turn digitally enable contractors and manufacturers access to that data, including some back office functions, which I think are some low-hanging fruit. Another example I think about is demand creation opportunities that data could offer contractors and distributors both. Installed products is a great example. We have plenty of knowledge of installed products we've provided in the past that are now operating with old technology. What if we teamed up with contractors to offer the end user an upgraded, more efficient digital solution? Think of facility monitoring as an example. So in addition to becoming a one-time product and installation revenue source, it also provides an opportunity for us to drive some recurring revenue for monitoring, capturing, examining data. So as a distributor, our objective is to be viewed as more than a source for just products, but really a source for data that we can team up with a contractor to leverage and apply in many different purposes.
You've got a lot of good data that we need access to, and we need to look at trends. For example, if we're moving more to cable trays and seeing less and less conduit, like I think a lot of parts of the country are starting to see, or at least a flattening off of conduit sales. Those are things we need to look at. But we also need to have our contractors share data with you and be more transparent with you so that we can work together. So it's a back and forth, and it's something we're going to have to work together to build trust and make sure that we're securing that data so that you're secure, we're secure, and everyone feels the warm fuzzy feelings that we can work back and forth together and help each other.
Yeah, I know you mentioned when you were with us before, Josh, that some of those revenue streams for contractors are changing, where at one time gear was a big piece of the total revenue stream, and that's shifting today. So keeping opportunities to create demand is a good venture for both of us to take. Let me just switch topics on you for a minute. As a distributor, we've got a big investment in account managers, and they've been doing their job one way, for a number of years. And we realize that that salesperson of the future has to change. How do you see that distributor account manager behaving in the future?
We're seeing trends from millennials that it's not so much anymore about even pricing. If you're going to give me the best price, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that's an expert that can help me, that adds value beyond the sale. And this consultative sales approach and being an expert in certain areas, you look at how the buildings have changed. So much of the cost of the building when I came into the industry 20 years ago was in the core and shell. Now you start to look at the complex systems that go into the buildings. Now you need someone to help you look at these, evaluate the different systems. What's going to have labor savings? What's going to be more cost effective? What's going to have a longer life cycle return? And how do I service this? So it really is expanding the knowledge of the sales team and going after that consultative approach. It's not, three bids and a buy. It's that is shifting away, so that same skill set is starting to shift as well. So I've seen more of that consultative sell, being an expert in what you know, bringing value, going out to the job site, letting them see that you have more value than just being the most competitively priced product. So we're seeing that across the board with millennials. They don't have that same relationship. I bought from Josh for the last 30 years. I gotta work with Josh. They don't have that type of loyalty. So you've got to bring something else to the table.
Well, I love what you're saying about us needing to add value, and we're rethinking, really redefining a lot of our traditional roles in terms of what they look like in the past and what might be possible in the future. I'd use an example. Autonomous delivery vehicles are on the not too distant horizon, in our opinion. Maybe not that first and last mile, but certainly those miles in between. So imagine shifting responsibility of our professional drivers from spending less time driving and while they're behind the wheels and perhaps more time on logistics or customer service work, somewhere they could add additional value using their skill and knowledge utilized in different and expanded ways. Another priority for us is customer experience. It creates trust and loyalty and really reflects kind of who we are as a distributor. Most interactions today involve human contact, at least when you're working with border states. But some customers are starting to desire more self-service option. You mentioned millennials. In our personal lives, we all interact with Siri, Google, Alexa, and they give us directions. We learn about new products. We make purchases without talking to anyone. People are being expect that same experience in their professional lives, and so we're working hard to provide that same flexibility and offer multiple experiences, as well to our customers.
David, we've got a study we're doing with Electri right now on the industrialization of construction. And you look at textiles, you look at agriculture, you look at all of these industries that have industrialized. And jobs don't go away, but the jobs do change. And we've got good examples out there. It's just that the skill sets that we have today, some of them are going to apply, some of them are not. And we're all at a point right now in this world that we live in. You've got to learn to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So there's going to be a lot of shifts and changes, but I see it as a tremendous opportunity for those that are willing to embrace that change and grow and build closer relationships and grow their market share. We're going to see consolidation in the industry, and the big are going to get bigger in some ways, and the small are going to find their niche focus and how they all get better.
We're looking at that the same way. You mentioned the amount of productivity that agriculture has seen and textiles have seen. And our industry is just not keeping up with those industries or even inflation for that matter. So there's a big need for us to become more efficient, more productive. And as you pointed out, we're seeing examples of buildings that are constructed offsite in a safer, cleaner environment, better quality, less waste, and then assembled in record times on the job site for considerably less cost. We're starting to invest in those prefabrication capabilities and solutions, things we hadn't done in the past. And we're starting to have conversations with contractors to really just determine where it makes most sense in the supply chain from a quality and cost standpoint to perform that work that may have been traditionally done, strictly on site. So in parts of our geography, we're assembling duct banks, we're providing mobile power solutions, pre-assembling wiring panels, not looking to replace the contractor or manufacturer, but looking to supplement and add value where it makes sense. I think I saw in one of your electric presentations that the future is here. It's not evenly distributed was a term that y'all used.
That's correct.
I love that. Talk a little bit more about that.
And I love to hear that you're looking on it as a geography. It is true. Every market is a little different, and you have to talk to the contractors in that market. Now, NECA's signatory contractors. In some markets, we have some very large, very sophisticated contractors that need added value in different areas. They may be doing a lot of the big stuff very well, but they need help with some of the smaller, repetitive stuff. They don't want to fill up their shop with that just repeat. We want to be doing full on volumetric, maybe your central plant that I need to spend my time and effort building out my central plant that's going to go in the penthouse. I need to make sure that's done well because that's going to save me weeks on this job, and I need to have my focus there. But I'll turn to my partner and I'll look at getting my cable assemblies, my wall rough ends, and those types of things. That is where I need to save that space in my shop because I need to be that. Think of that shop. I need to be very lean and be very cost effective. So I'm looking for my partners. Now, in other markets you're going to go into, there's a lot of smaller contractors, and they're afraid of the larger contractors coming in and taking work because they have so much offsite capabilities. And they're now what they need is a partner in their market to help them look at how they stave off that competition. And it's you're going to find one solution works well in one market and doesn't work so well in another market. And it's good to hear that you're looking at geography because the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed. It may be very different in Richmond, Virginia than it is in Dallas, Texas. It is they're at a different cycle in the process of where the future is heading.
Well, you mentioned the different things that different contractors do well. Do you have any specific services or technologies that you've seen consistently across the footprint that distribution to really prioritize for investment to better serve our contractor partners?
Yes, there's some tools out there today that are helping make it easier to procure and impacting the supply chain in a process that improves communication. So one of the things I have seen is a lot of companies right now, a lot of electrical and mechanical contractors are moving away from project managers and general foremen and ordering and procuring for their specific job is to creating a procurement department. And I think that's a very good thing. A lot of people don't want to spend that money and that overhead. Hey, why would I pay somebody maybe a six-figure salary when I've just had the field do that for so long that I don't have to absorb that overhead? Well, if you can start to consolidate that, you consolidate your buying power, and it can help you with your relationship with border states. And there's a lot of things we can do. Well, there's tools today. Agora, helloagora.com. Their Sanveo has their Inspire product. There's Field Effects. And so those are all working in a way that's cloud-based, opening, facilitating communication, supplementing some of the work so that you may not need a dedicated procurement person, that it organizes and becomes that link from all the field jobs and all those foremen and general foremen and project managers to a consistent, consolidated way that they communicate with their suppliers and their supply chain as a whole. We're also seeing a big push right now with tools in the modeling side. So as we're really diving in and getting very detailed and doing our BIM, building information modeling, or VDC, virtual design and construction process, and running through coordination, you're seeing the breakdown of assemblies and spools and different components and how we're going to prefab them. Tools like Stratus and M-Suite are making it easier for you to jump into the model, start breaking these components down, and start providing pricing right there in real time. And it's a far more collaborative process around what's ultimately we can tag things into it, and it can be the genesis of this digital twin that simulates the life cycle of this building throughout. So, this is coming in a big way, and it is really going to change. It's going to change the industry from the ground up and fundamentally change the way we communicate.
And that's I love that. I love that insight, Josh. For a number of years, manufacturers have asked us to carry more of the technical, more of the product application load, and each year we've invested in specialists to supplement our sales teams, whether it's gear, lighting, automation, and we'll continue to plan for further investment in those specialists. But right now, I'll tell you what, we're adding resources in our IT team, and that's meant to accelerate customer and vendor back office integrations. Some of the products you just talked about, and enabling a better seamless flow of data and information that can be leveraged. So there's plenty of low-hanging fruit in that part of the business. You've got some neat future thoughts that I think by us understanding those and adding the right talent can really benefit the whole process, and ultimately what we're both trying to benefit as the owner with a better product in the end. So we clearly see our role as a distributor to add value wherever we can. I'd mentioned it earlier, to be viewed as that trusted advisor for both customers and manufacturers, and that's going to continue to require expertise, competency in areas that our partners need. Some of those that you mentioned earlier. So hey, as I wrap this up today, I couldn't thank you enough for I can't thank you enough for spending a little time today with us and sharing some of your insights and forward look into what we can expect in this industry.
Hey, it was all my pleasure, David. It's good to talk to you anytime. And if there's anything I can do for you, Border States, your team, I'm an open book, as you're all starting to see. I'm here to help the industry and help our NECA contractors be in the right position to take advantage of an abundance of opportunity that's coming our way.
Yep. Thanks a bunch, Josh. Stay safe, and we'll see you again one day soon.
Sounds great, David. Thank you.